Okay, so what we're going to do now is we need to have the other directions work. So with this highlighted blue, this is the sub event I'm talking about right here. We are going to, actually no, we want to click here. We want to not click on the sub event, click on the actual event. And then what you want to do is click sub event. And then what you want to do is for this up key here, we're going to left click. So this is highlighted. We're going to right click here, select copy, left click here. So this blank sub event is highlighted. And then we're going to right click and select paste. So when we did this, now we have this pasted in. Now we have another blank sub event right here. So what we can do is we should still have it copied, but we can just right click, select copy, click here, right click, paste, right click, select copy, left click here, right click, paste. So now we have these 4 different controls right here set up. Okay, the reason why we did this is just copy the same thing is because this is very easy for us to change. So we can double click here, capital D, down. We'll then click OK. So with this set for down, this is still saying simulate up for players. So we'll double click here. We'll scroll down here and then we'll select simulate down key press. Then we'll click OK. Okay, so having these here just makes things somewhat easier. So what we're going to do is double click here. We'll change this to capital L, left. We'll then click OK. We'll click here, double click there, scroll down, and then we'll select simulate left key press, and we'll click OK. Okay, we'll do the same thing here. Left click, or a similar thing I should say, capital R, right. We'll click OK, and then we'll double click here, scroll down, change this to simulate right key press, and then click OK. Okay, I wanted to make note of you here that when we have this T key is pressed, I have this trigger once here. If I double click here, what this is if you go to advanced, trigger once while true, this just makes Gdevelop see you push the button one time. So when you press the button one time, Gdevelop sees you press T. It doesn't go T T T T T T T T T. They press T over and over again. So this is here. This happened in between video takes. So I just wanted to make you aware of this. So we have this condition right here, and then this is, or I should say, this is the event. So we have 2 events. We have the T key is pressed. You saw this setup. However, you didn't see this trigger once set up. So again, this is just, you go to advanced and then trigger once while true. This is fine here. And then you click OK. And then that's set up. Okay, so we want to make sure that this works. So we're going to click the preview button. So let's make sure our fighter craft still flies correctly. It does. We're going to press T. So we transform. So now when we press up, down, left, right, our robot moves. Now this is our particle system. It's for our fighter craft. So we want to deal with this because you can see this doesn't look right how it's set up now. Okay, so let's deal with that exhaust. So we have this condition saying when equals 2 happens, this transformation happens, then all these sub events happen. So let's make it so that the exhaust disappears. So what we're going to do is we're going to click add action. We're going to go to common expressions for all, visibility. Then we're going to select hide. And then this is the particle system. It's named exhaust. We're going to left click there. And then we're going to click OK. So we'll click the preview button so we can see what's going on. So here's our craft. Just making sure it's still working correctly. Let's press T. So now you see that our exhaust disappears when we press T. And that's good because that's what we want it to happen. Okay, now let's set up so we can transform back to a jet fighter craft. So what we're going to do is click here. And I say here, I'm just clicking to highlight this event right here. We're going to click the plus button to the upper right to make a new event. And what we're going to do is we're going to select add condition, go to common conditions for all objects, select variables, then select objects variable, select player. The variable we want to work with is transform. For the sign of the test, we're going to set this to equal. And then for this setting, we're going to set this to 1. And then we're going to click OK. Okay, we have things set. So when this variable is equal to 1, what do we want to happen? We want this to change back to a jet fighter craft. So we're going to click add action. We're going to go to sprite. We're going to select animations and images, change the animation by name. We're going to select the player, and then the animation's name was RT. So we're going to put this in quotations. Then we're going to click OK. Okay, what we need now is something to say, when this thing happens, have that variable be equal to 1. So we're going to left click here on this event to highlight it blue. We're going to go to the upper right, click the add new empty event. We're going to click add condition. We're going to go to keyboard. We're going to select key pressed. And then we're going to put in R. And then we're going to click OK. Okay, so what we have here is we're saying when the R key is pressed, make something happen. That's something that we want to happen is to have the variable name transform to be equal to 1. So we're going to select add action. We're going to go to common actions for all objects. We're going to select variables. We're going to select modify a variable of an object. We're going to select the player. For the variable, we're going to select transform. For the modification sign, we're going to select equal to, and then we're going to have this setting be equal to 1. Then we're going to click OK. Okay, when we press the R key, we want this to happen one time. So what we're going to do is, and this is that thing I told you about before, this trigger once, you're going to see me do it now. So this is set up, how we're going to set this up. So we're going to click add condition. We're going to go to advanced. And then we see this trigger once while true. So we're going to left click here, leave this how it is, and then we're going to left click on OK. Okay, with that set up, we're going to click the preview window. So we're going to make sure that our jet fighter craft controls work. We're going to press T. We transform. Now we're going to press R. We transform back. However, now we don't have control of our jet fighter craft. Okay, the reason why we don't have control is because when the variable is set to 0, that's when we have control of our jet fighter craft. Okay, now you might sit there and say, well, why have it changed to 1? Why not just have the it being the variable changed to 0? There's various reasons for that. If you are interested in finding out about that, you can leave me a comment and I'll tell you why. However, what we can do to gain control is we're going to click on this event, and this is the event that says variable transform of player is equal to 1, as well as set animation of player to RT. All right, so with this selected on, we're going to click to the upper right, add a sub event to the selected event.